Okay, everyone in Europe has to move to Roman territory, essentially. And there's people with a total alien concept of living riding around with cutting edge military technology, God knows where. As the Earth cooled, something else happened too. Natural disasters began to occur with higher frequency and intensity. Earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, and general atmospheric mayhem reigned for a century or so as the scourge of God rode around consuming entire cultures. If you're curious, this cold period would be followed by what's called the medieval warm period, where grapes were grown in southern England and where the Danes colonized Greenland. And then right after that was the Little Ice Age, which ran from about 1450 to about 1850. It got so cold at the height of the Little Ice Age, actually, that Europeans hunted the native European beaver into extinction because it was the only thing that had fur warm enough to survive the winter. But how could they be a meritocracy if they had slaves? Well, previously I've mentioned that certain societies allowed slaves to purchase or earn freedom. Rome had the Colosseum, where some slaves could rise in society and fame through martial prowess. The Byzantines always tried to outdo their forebears, and so constructed a grand hippodrome, or chariot racetrack, grander than the Roman Colosseum even. Here, fortunes were made and lost, and winners were paid in gold, the money of kings. Most charioteers were slaves, who risked their lives to become something like major athletes in our society today. Wealthy, famous, and with some planning, even influential. There was still social divides in the Byzantine society, as there has always been in every society. People of the senatorial class, nobles if you will, and others who managed to maintain wealth and status formed an upper class beneath no one except the emperor, of course. Byzantium started to have more complexity than most societies we've looked at in the next layer. People who had made good decisions, taken risks, and came out successful. Guilds, organized labor dedicated to a particular manufacturing, be it silk or ships or armor or horses, began to form, attempting to coordinate method of manufacture and ensure the interests of their members. You could say, join the Cobblers Guild, work through the ranks to the top, and find yourself in the royal court, without anything like a noble title even. Okay, so, why mention all of that? I want to explain the major social divide present through much of Byzantine history simply. Guild versus bureaucracy, merchant versus noble, and orthodox versus what we'll call unorthodox religion. This can be further simplified to old power versus new power, or even more simply, blue versus green. You see, no one, not the rich noble or the influential patriarch, actually had any say in their society's laws and government policy other than the emperor and the empress. I'll mention briefly that Byzantium had a much more important empress than most other ancient regimes. A bachelor emperor would be doomed if he attempted governance alone.